So, peace and blessings. Happy full moon in Pisces. Let's get into that energy. Let's get into that energy. I was actually just saying this literally right now, saying that it's a full time of just transformation, new opportunities, freedom, healing, and just the release of what no longer serves your highest good. At least that's the energy that I'm feeling right now. And wow, what a perfect day for me to record today's episode. It is episode 5, and I'm overflowing with gratitude and love right now for this intimate dialogue with my very, very special guest, Yogini Maat. She is an amazing spiritual life coach, an astrologer. She is also a registered yoga teacher. I mean, literally a triple threat, right? So I manifested her. I know she said this to me as well, but I manifested her and this experience, and I'm so happy that you guys will get to witness the knowledge that she offers. I've been following her journey for almost 2 years now, and from the moment that I saw her, I was in awe of how connected she was while doing her yoga rituals, how she is just so deep in her element when doing her breathing exercises. And I've told her this also, you can see the magic in her eyes. And I've dabbled and dabbled with yoga, but never fully committed to it the way that she does. She embodies it. She's a goddess. LILILAND Radio welcomes Miss Yogini Maat. Thank you so much for being here.
Wow. Thank you. No, I always have to say infinite gratitude because nothing less, nothing more. Always. Just like you said, this is a blessing for me too. So it goes both ways, and where there's balance, there's magic. And I'm just super humbled, and just even listening to you introduce me, it's like, wow, like that's me, because I'm just kind of watching the movie of me, even though I'm manifesting it too. So it's crazy to see someone else's perspective through someone else's mind's eye. So yeah, just thank you for allowing me to be such a positive um, influence in your life, and for anyone who's listening or will listen. But yeah, thank you, Queen. Like, I'm so excited to be here. I think that tonight is going to be real deep. Um, and as I was saying before, you said you talked about basically, um, renewal and going a new beginning, kind of this cleansing process here. The card that I pulled, around that will basically explains the theme around, this conversation, the show, um, is a 20 judgment card. And basically it's a renewal, a soul renewal that this represents. So it's an
Amazing.
ending and a new beginning. This is, moving into higher states of consciousness, higher perspective. I mean, to me, it's right aligned with somewhere around the card that I pulled last time we spoke, which is amazing because, like I said, when things are aligned, it's magic. Um, but yeah, I'm really excited to dive in and see what kind of what you have in store and what we create together. So yeah.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, the card with us as well. And like you said, it does align perfectly with exactly, what the theme was on our last conversation, just
Mm-hmm.
communication and, um, just that the whole purpose of us just really coming together and creating together, like you said. So
Right.
thank you so much for sharing that. And I pretty much just want to dive in. Like I see a lot of different people doing, card readings and natal chart readings out there. But I will say, your approach is so different. It's so unique. You really know how to connect to the being that you're doing the reading on. From my own, personal experience, you make it so comfortable. And can you just tell us a little bit more about, what a natal chart reading is and what a card reading is for those that don't know, and why it's so important for everyone to experience that?
Excuse me. Um, yeah, card readings, astrology, anything that serves as a divination system, which we understand is something that gives us insight, is what I work with, and from numerology, it doesn't have to be, anything as intense as a natal chart, of course looks intense when you first see it and you don't understand what you're looking at, or even how to read certain cards. But for me, how I use them, and you say like, I have a different approach. Um, I always just try to be just as calm and collected and natural as possible. I wasn't always doing this using cards and astrology, but I always was kind of diving into the challenges and providing wisdom with other people. People always came to me for advice or perspective, and that's just who I've always been. And it's weird because even though I went to a Catholic school, my school was the only one that was allowed to have a leadership class, and in that class, we learned a lot about like thick nut hen and just life and how to view life. Um, and that right there actually was a big spark for me as well, because it put me on the path to basically being who I am now, and um, seeing that I could do things in a very different way than what society makes it seem like we have to do. I always wanted to be before a pediatrician, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff about the medical system that I didn't really agree with. So I wasn't sure how I was going to really make my mark. Um, but yeah, I really just use astrology as a guide. So because yes, I always pick up on people's energy, and I always can figure out what they need, what they're looking for, what their issue is. How to I always figure out ways to show them how to shift, a belief, or move beyond a certain paralyzing thought, or just really just some really deep internal work that takes time. But I don't know. I don't know. I just always had like this strong um, kind of like Pluto feel, transformation type of feel with people. Always showing them different, and then them actually benefiting from what it was that I suggested, or what it was that I saw that was in regards to them, or whatever wisdom or information that I had. So the cards and the chart is really just the tool that I use to use as a map, really, because I'm doing readings for a lot of different people. It's not like I spend time, speaking with them beforehand, getting to know their energy, so it makes it easier to see a chart where you have everything mapped out, and now I can say, okay, I see what's happening. And so when we get on a call now, I know exactly where to get to. And then as you speak, I'm like, exactly, like, of course, I would know that's something you would be experiencing because of what I see here.
Right.
Yeah, so really, um, how I start all my readings is, I explained that I use numerology, because to me, numerology is one of the best divination systems. Um, I always say, like, how do you even get this physical realm? It's from light, and the same goes with numbers. How do you receive numbers? Through angles of light. So to me, if light carries information, then that means that numbers must carry information too. Numbers must have their own intelligence as well. So, and most of us, when we do start, when we begin on our spiritual journey, the first thing that we kind of recognize or realize are numbers, or repetition of numbers. Usually, seeing the 1111 or the 333s, or like that type of that's the type of stuff that we see, and we know that it must mean something, because we're wondering, well, why am I seeing this, right? But because you don't know, your own intellect can't give you the answer, and so of course it requires you to go and gain understanding. But yeah, numerology is the very first thing that I kind of present to you. Then I shift into the chart, because the chart is just really a drawing of you, your soul, who you are. That's what it looks like, is a drawing, because it consists of different geometry as well. When you go through the chart, I talk about grand trines, or seeing T squares, and what all of that represents. Even seeing squares in the chart, and you understand, or if you were to study you know, um, geometry, and were to study, the flow of energy through different shapes, then you can see how it might affect you in the chart. But yeah, so everything is energy. How can I tell so much about you just from looking at this? Well, because as above, so below, where the planets were positioned, understanding that each planet represents a different aspect of you, and how, depending on what star system this planet exists in or through, this is how it projects its energy, and what house, that planet is positioned in. This is where the energy is kind of focused. And it tells you everything from who you are, the type of person you are, or what energy is projected out into your environments day to day, which can be very different from your zodiac or your sun sign.
That's right.
It tells you about where you want to shine your energy. The type of person that when you're out there, when you're out in the world, how you're projecting your energy, but who you really are at home. It tells you about what your home energy was like. Home energy meaning like growing up. What type of energy that was. What type of effect does it have on the home within you? The foundation that was created within you. And how it affects who you are now, and who you might want to be, or where you think your purpose lies out in this world. You can see even how a person loves. People complain every day, oh, in relationships, I like to be this way, but so and so likes to be that way, and that bothers me. But we also have to understand that not everybody loves the way you do.
Yeah, I
And
mean, there's so many layers. There's so many
exactly.
layers. And I just wanted to say, especially for me, I'll be honest, although I always knew what a natal chart was, it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
until I got mine done
Mm-hmm.
with you that I started to have a deeper understanding of its importance. And like you said, when you do, for me, it was that when I started off on my spiritual journey, I'm seeing the repetition, I'm seeing all of these numbers, and I've always been a somewhat kind of a numbers person. When it came to seeing my favorite number, I would always recognize that. But when you're seeing the 1111s, and you're seeing the 777 and the four four
Mm-hmm.
fours, and that repetition, you have to really understand that it's not a coincidence why you're seeing those
Exactly.
numbers, and it resonates with something that's going on in your life, or that you're going through in that moment, or what's going to happen. And you really need to be aware of your thoughts, when you're seeing these things. It's so important. And I'm speaking on that because this is my experience. That is my experience that I went through,
Mm-hmm.
coming into my spirituality and just being connected to it. And it was the same for me, when you did the natal chart. It was kind of, and I told you this, I was in awe. I
Mm-hmm.
was in awe because I really couldn't believe, someone that didn't know me, someone that didn't know my inner being. It wasn't so much, oh, she didn't know me from a hole in the wall. It was more so like, how can she know my inner self? And, like,
See,
just,
based on that, just to chime in just real quick, you see that in order to get to know somebody without having to actually speak to them in the physical, you have to go inside of yourself and basically go to their doorstep within you. You go to their world through the world within you, and that's what I do through this divination, because I'm not just um, you know I'm looking at symbols and I'm looking at cards, and I'm feeling what I'm feeling because I'm connecting with your energy, or I'm asking to connect with your spirit guides, and I'm asking for them to share with me, what it is you need. I'm really just an anchor, really. And I see myself that a lot. I see myself that in many reflections, many different layers in my life, but I'm really just the anchor. That's why it's hard for me I don't really accept myself as being a healer or being this great, because I'm really just here. This is all that you need. And so that's why it's so overwhelming and amazing, but, crazy at the same time when someone says, like, wow, you've had this effect on me. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
yeah,
Right.
deep.
Exactly. And it's just it was so amazing, even just to speak on my experience. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason why I'm saying this is because, like I said, it literally holds the key, by getting your natal chart done or any type of reading, really. It literally holds the key to your personality, your true self, your path, your life path. And, if you are on a spiritual journey, or even if you're interested, in what that journey would be like, I think that that's a wonderful starting place, to
Mm-hmm.
just gaining that insight. And then if you are already on your spiritual journey, get it done so you can know if you're in alignment, if you're on the right path, and if not, maybe there's some things that you need to twirl and, mix it up and change it up a little bit so that you can be, because we're all here for a purpose. So we need to be following that path. We need to be aligning ourselves with the things that we should be doing, with the people that we need to be around to help uplift us also. Um, Obviously, knowing that you do need to have that time with yourself and take time with yourself and get to know yourself and love yourself and spend time with yourself and all of those beautiful things, because self love and self care is always going to be number one. But, it also, being around those people that uplift you and make you feel like sunshine is also that much important, during this journey. And so, Yogini, why do you feel like some people may even stray away from wanting to get their natal charts done and gaining that higher perspective of self? Is it like the fear of the unknown, or would you say that they just aren't ready to face their own truths?
I feel like it's how can I say it? What's the word? All of the above. I think there's some people who fear of the unknown, most definitely, as usual. I mean, we all have experienced fear of the unknown. We all are afraid of, at times seeing, having the mirror being held up to you and not being able to turn away from it. Now it is what it is. Some people enjoy ignorance, actually. Some people
Hmm.
know that they enjoy ignorance. And some people are just very practical, and the way they're designed, it's not easy for them to accept the fact that someone, or there is something that can do such a thing, and
Mm.
be so accurate. But I mean, you can even see that type of stuff in a person's chart. If they're very, have a lot of like Earth or like Saturn qualities, they're very structured and logical, the logical thinkers. This is very like right brained. This is very right brain. There is no logic to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to understand that there's something beyond just the physical. There's something beyond, what you think and see and experience, that can tap into this. And people think that it's scary. Like, even people think that yoga is scary. I was doing a workshop in in Texas, and this one girl, I think she was about 15. She had her sister drop her off, but her mom was basically like upset that she was gonna go do some devil worship thing. Like people just are. I
Wow.
think it's just a lot of yeah, it's
Wow.
just a lot of ignorance. But in a way, you can say it's not their fault for being ignorant to this, because I mean, I sure as hell did not grow up learning this. You know what I'm saying? My friends were not growing up learning about energy and the spirit realm and dimensions. Not like this. You know what I'm saying? We were not learning astrology and that it was an actual real thing. But just you figured that there's the moon and the sun and the stars, and it just is what it is. That we wasn't learning stuff like this. So I can understand um, thinking that, well, you know what, if I never needed this until now, why is this something that I need now? Why would I need it now? But at the same time, as you continue to learn, it's just like in this book that I'm reading of Water and Spirit, what they're explaining is the connection or the balance between the two, the physical and the spiritual world, and being aligned with your ancestral council and actually walking your path and not attaching yourself to another person's kind of destiny, which does nothing but take you off your own. And when
Right.
you're not aligned with the ancestors, they begin to put you through some things. You begin to lose things that you felt like were yours or that you needed, and it's just all part of forcing you to come back to where you're supposed to be. But yeah, like I said, I think it's just all of the above. There are many different reasons why people shy away. But this is why it's good that there's you, and that you're creating these kind of platforms, so that way I can come on here and share with you the depth and what you would even receive in 2 hours alone. Which seems long, but it goes by real fast. um, so that way people can feel a little bit more comfortable, and and I want you to feel comfortable coming to me, because I'm not judgmental. It doesn't matter what you've experienced, what you feel you need to share. I mean, like, I probably experienced it too. So, we're actually gonna have a good time. I don't think there hasn't been one reading where a person, hasn't felt comfortable in my space, because that's exactly what the realm that has been created, even though it's usually over the phone.
And you do bring up a good point. It was the same for me. I grew up going to Catholic school as well,
Mm-hmm.
wearing the uniform and rolling up the skirts and, all of the
Yeah.
craziness. And, people, yeah, public school doesn't have anything on Catholic school girls, right? So,
Yeah, exactly.
but definitely, going through that experience as well. And like you said, you're not growing up around that. You're not growing up knowing about energy and chakras and sage and crystals and all of that. And it's just so funny because it made me think back to the beginning of my journey and
Mm-hmm.
um, how I even came to be at this point. And it's just so funny that you're not actually, at least for me, it wasn't like I was actually seeking to burn sage because I had no idea what that was.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think I've ever heard of it, but you're guided to that. When you start off on your journey, you're guided to what you're supposed to be guided to. So what that means is just let everything flow, just let
Mm-hmm.
everything flow. Like she said, you don't have to, be observing what someone else is doing and how it's working for them. Just let it flow for
Mm-hmm.
you. If you like burning sage and you like the smell of sage and you like the way it makes you feel, then let that flow. If you don't, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make you more spiritual or less spiritual. It doesn't make you, more focused on your journey than someone else if you're burning sage or not. And people get too caught up in, what others are doing and feeling afraid of just being honest with themselves first. And, stop worrying about what other people think of you. Stop worrying about other people's thoughts of who you are, because they don't know who you are, and half the time they don't want to know who you are. It's all a game, you know. Find your tribe and allow yourself to vibrate on a frequency where your tribe will just find you also. You know, focus on self. When you focus on yourself and your inner self and loving yourself, like I said, and doing those things to make yourself happy, naturally everything else is going to flow. It literally is. The knowledge that you're going to come into, the people that you're going to meet, you're going to start to manifest things that you didn't even realize you were manifesting, the things that you're not even focusing on. It's just going to start happening. Your deepest desires are just going to start to surface, and just stay focused. And I'm saying this to you, but I'm also saying it to myself, because this is part of my, you know, daily affirmation in some sort of way, is just to stay focused on what I want to do and my goals and the things that make me happy and the things that make me vibrate higher, you know. So it's just so amazing that I'm able to even connect with this wonderful queen, Yogini, my aunt, and she's able, like I said, to share her knowledge. And I mean, for me, even if you did want to get another natal chart done or another reading done somewhere else, you definitely would have to get it done at least with her first, because I feel like that sets a foundation for everything. And like I said, her approach is just so deep and there's so many layers. I mean, our first conversation, right? It was like 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
Two
it
and a
was
half hours,
intense.
and we could have still went on. I literally just had to like go cook or whatever, so I had to get off the phone. But I mean, it was just a flow, and it was because she's such a a knowledge, like she's literally knowledgeable, but she's also compassionate, and she's not judgmental. I mean, just how her delivery also. And it's definitely something, and that's why I'm having this show, because I feel like there's so many of us, you know, including myself, you know, we are afraid of the unknown. It is new to us. We didn't grow up knowing any of these things. So we do need these outlets where we can get a deeper understanding for stuff before we are, and that's with anything, before we are taking the next step, you know, to open ourselves up, because that's what it is too. With the natal reading, with the natal chart reading, you're opening yourself up too, you know, to
Mhm.
face your own truths and come to terms with what it is. Because it's not all about fairies and, you know, flowers.
Oh, 100%. I was just looking in my chart yesterday, and like, I mean, of course I've looked in it before, but today or yesterday, I was looking at my Mars opposite my Pluto. Like, I was like, whoa, like that's super intense. And I was just seeing like all the negative ways that can manifest in terms of like my dominance as well, and some kind of like strong, bossy ways that can manifest. But at the same time, it also shows, the power behind me, the power behind my actions, and my desires, and being the leader, and it just so much. And so I was like, wow, like, okay, I have to humble myself, because yeah, I've recently been in situations where the dominance was just crazy, and I just, felt like I didn't deserve any of that. But at the same time, I can see how I've added to the situation as well. Although I still don't feel the situation is for me, but regardless, just facing some truth, looking into the chart and seeing, just some things that I'm like, okay, yeah, you know what, that's actually true. And instead of always, seeing myself as the victim, because I've been put in, into a situation right now where I'm looking at someone make themselves the victim, and I can see how they make things way more harder for themselves. And it's like sometimes, the universe sends you your reflection in many different ways, so that way you can learn. And so I can see that, and it just was crazy. But all of that just through looking at the chart. Now, of course, for any healer, when they start to focus on themselves, it gets about 10 times harder. So for me, I like when when I kind of go through upgrades and awareness, self-awareness. It's either randomly or a reading that I was doing that triggered something. But in a chart, like, you get all of that. I always strongly suggest, if you can record it, because like I said, like you said, it's a mirror. It's a mirror being held, and now it's time for you to face yourself, the good and the bad, or what you consider to be good and what others have considered to be bad. And see just exactly who you are based off of what you believe. You know what I'm saying? And then move forward from that, because there just is a lot going on, and just like me, I can understand that. And so if I can provide you with something that will make life easier for you and allow you to have a better experience, then shoot, I'm gonna offer it, because that's what it's about. I feel like we're supposed to be coming together for um, obviously a higher purpose, which could be nothing but love. So, yeah, yeah. I mean, come. I'm open. I'm ready. I'm excited. Um, it's yeah, no judgments. Um, and I'll tell it. I'll tell it to you like it is, and I expect you to do the same with me, so that way, you get the best results as well. So it's pretty deep, and you talked about staying focused, and you can even see, like, a person who might have a hard time with doing that. So sometimes it's not always about just pushing yourself to just stay focused. It's really about the stillness that you create in your cycles, just like your breathing. Like, we breathe in, there's like a short pause, because you're pulling from that unmanifested potential, and then there goes the movement again. You want to keep a consistency between stillness and movement. It can't always just be movement, because we collect energies and experiences and thoughts and entities along the way, and it's very important to have a consistent, scheduled cleansing system. I was just saying earlier on my live stream that, man, it was my intention, to do a spiritual cleansing bath once a week. Now, I've been super busy lately. I haven't had a chance to do it, but it's been a month. And now I'm like, okay, after this radio show, that's what it's going to be time for. I need to cleanse. I've been around people, I've been around a lot of thoughts, thoughts that include me, thoughts that I don't need, things that I just don't need myself to be tied to. And I need to make sure that I'm cleansing, because I can feel myself kind of being weighed down, even though it just energetically. And I need to make sure that I maintain a clear connection with spirit, a clear kind of connection with self, a clear connection with consciousness, just a clear connection with, my ancestors that I know walk with me, not just because, oh, my ancestors walk with me, but the specific ones that do feed me information. I just need to make sure that I continue to be aligned. And the only way to do that is to find a balance between the two. And so for those who have trouble staying focused, because, maybe there's a lot of mental energy or there's a lot of physical energy, those stillness points are very important, because those stillness points are what's going to help you recharge. And that recharge is a recharge of, like, fresh energy to kind of push you, and that's what's going to help you
I'm so happy you brought that
stay on
up.
that.
I'm so happy that you brought up spiritual baths, because that is something that a lot of us, including myself, don't stay dedicated to, and just really knowing when to do it and understanding why we should be doing it. And it is so important. You don't want to hold on to, just like, the full moon. You don't want to keep any of the energy that no longer serves you. Um, you want to release basically everything that no longer serves your highest good. You're always going to want to
Exactly.
release that. And I'm so happy that you brought that up. Let's kind of tell our listeners a little bit more about spiritual baths. Like, so let's kind of talk about maybe what your setup is like when you are doing your spiritual baths, and maybe what types of herbs or candles and things like that you like to incorporate, you know, even in the bathroom, and kind of like setting up, you know, your environment with that?
It depends on the intensity of the bath, I suppose. Just, a basic kind of, because we should, I mean, my mom used to say this to me all the time, you should take baths more often. And I used to be like, "Oh, I don't have time." But, like, it depends on what the intensity of the purpose for the bath. So for me, I'm due for a really, one that will really kind of shift not just a mental perspective, and clear some of the entities that have, how can I say, that hold space in my mind, that actually share their input that I really don't want or need sometimes, let's say.
Mm.
And so like for like an intense bath, I would do like maybe a lemon garlic bath. Now I don't have much that I might add. I may add some frankincense, just because we know that like the oil, frankincense oil, a very strong spiritual oil. I might add some of that depending on how I feel. Um, I have a little lavender. I might add, like, it all depends on what the purpose is. And so this is why I always say it's not always good to ask for what you think someone else should do and then go and follow that. It's always good to listen to, like, for instance, me telling you lemon and garlic, two very, very strong um, kind of energies to use in a bath, because they literally clear negative energy. You know, the garlic and the whole vampire thing, they keep vampires away, and lemons are used to like disinfect in a way. So it like together, when you boil it and then you just to kind of get all of that good stuff out of the lemon and the garlic into the water, and then you pour it into your bath. Before I even get into the bath, I put my hands into the water, and I may chant. But really, the purpose of that is to just, how can I say, program the water. So we know that the water has an intelligence. Through putting this solution together, there's an intention behind it, and so now you just want to put your hands in to charge that water, to connect with the intelligence of the water, and now you're programming it to do whatever it is that you want to do, whatever your intention is. And it's crazy because usually right when I go to step into the water, there's always like an electric charge or spark that I always feel. So I know that 100% it's charged. Like, my thought has gone into this, and I sit in it and I just let it do its thing. And literally, it's pulling all of that, all this, like, well, I want to say garbage, but all of this toxin, these emotions, the thoughts, things that have come and attached themselves, energy that's come and attached themselves to me, that's trying to live through me, all of that, it kind of pulls it out of you through your skin and into the water, and that's why once you've kind of, you've rinsed off, you're done, you've stepped out the bath, it's a completely different feeling. It's a sense of peace. It's a feeling light. Feeling light, feeling like you've released, feeling cleansed and rejuvenated. And now you can go ahead and kind of focus the mind to do a meditation for a specific purpose now, or you can go ahead and maybe even connect with a certain ancestor that has been trying to connect with you for how long, but you had yourself in a closed, in pretty much like a square where energy is kind of locked in. You're just giving yourself a way of kind of letting that out, and these are the things that we need to be doing more often. I might have some white candles. Again, it all depends on what the purpose is. You can definitely use the intelligence of color, You can use candles. I personally use the frankincense sap. I like to burn the frankincense sap before I do the bath, just to kind of clear out the energy that's in the room and in my apartment. In my room, just everywhere. I just smoke out the whole house. Do my cleansing bath, like the big, like the really intense bath, and then you smoke out the place after, just to make sure that everything has been cleared out. That's something that I would kind of move through. Really intense, and it even goes deeper, where you can even it goes deeper where you're coming out the bath, you're chanting, you're clearing, you go back in, you like there are more depth to it. But what I would suggest is to just get into the habit of setting the intention of getting in a bath, not just women, but men as well. It's not something like, I mean, we all need to be doing it. Where we are getting in, we're doing it every week or once a month or whatever the intention that you put behind it. Whatever that is, that's exactly what it's going to be. We need to have more confidence in in the thoughts that we may have and the ideas that we may have, even if it may sound absurd. I was just saying earlier, if you feel like, hey, I do have this, bottle of frankincense that so and so gave me a couple months ago. Maybe I should put a few drops of this in. Maybe you should, because the thought would have never came into your mind if what, in this moment, it's exactly what you need. That's why you were given the frankincense 2 months ago, because universe, or you essentially knew that this was going to be a time, there was going to be a time when it would be a use for it or a need for it. So do that. You don't always have to listen and wait for someone to come and tell you something, because everything is within anyway. That's why I said you can get to know somebody just by going within yourself and, kind of finding your way to their inner doorstep and learning about them, rather than having to wait for them to tell you certain things.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, like she said, it is important to have those cleansing mantras too. You're not just getting in the bath and, with the
Right.
garlic and the lemon. You also want to, have those cleansing mantras. You want to, just make it known, like, you're washing away that energy. You're washing away, specifically the energy that is not yours to carry. You know, you're releasing yourself of, just anything from the past, any past burdens, any, negativity. You want to nourish yourself, for the future, on your journey, and
Right.
have that, that feel recharged, feel restored, feel renewed, and just completely wash that off. So, that was definitely a great point that you brought up, babe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of what I go through. Depending on how I feel, I might add some sounds. I might. It all depends. It depends. It all depends. Honestly, like, there is no one way. Spirituality is everything, and it's infinite. There's many different ways of doing anything. It's really the intention. It's really the mind, the strength of the mind that goes behind it. That's why crystals and like, crystals are cute. A lot of us, and people might get upset with me for it. I love me some crystals. Listen, I rock them. I think that they're beautiful. I do love their energy. But it's not the crystal that's essentially protecting you. Everything is mind. You can transcend all that stuff, as long as you, your mind is aligned, or aligned with your spirit and consciousness, because we understand that there are many different entities or aspects of self that make up you. But it's really not that, because I mean, like, for instance, how can I say? Let me see. Um, Remember, there's just nothing outside of you. There's absolutely nothing outside of you. It's the same thing when it comes to religion. you don't need to look for anything outside of you, and that also means the crystals too. But we just use these things. We use the candles, we use the crystals to just focus our thought, so that way the ripple is that much stronger. It's just like using mirrors. If anyone's doing any rituals or any spells and you really want the intensity of that spell to be even stronger, you could use a mirror, because mirror provides a reflection, and each reflection can, you know, be looked at as another dimension. And so in this dimension, it's almost like in 3 dimensions, or however many ever reflections of self you're creating, you're doing the same thing. And so with that understanding, it makes it that much stronger. Now, is it really happening? Not really, because this physical realm is nothing but an illusion. But the thought and the understanding and the intention put behind what your mind is basically telling your body to do is really where the power is.
Right, and we
So
have to we have to we have to protect our energy. We have to clear our energy. Those spiritual baths are so important. We don't want to take on the energy of others, especially when it's negative energy. We definitely don't want to take that on. Like she said, if it's every week or every month, that's definitely something, and it's something for myself that I need to commit to more. So I'm not coming from a place of judgment, but we all need to have this routine and have this ritual where
right,
we are clearing that energy and protecting ourselves, and um, just asking, for the energy that's not ours to not
right.
carry on, to be cleared,
And not to say that it's negative too, but it's just the imbalance. And so that's why my readings are so how can I say enlightening, because I can see exactly where imbalance is most likely going to manifest itself for you based off your chart. And then, like, once you're aware of something, you can't. It's hard to continue to make certain choices. It's like when you're aware that, okay, I manifested something good, but when we manifest something that we don't like, we try to act like, oh, it's another force. It's not us, right? But once you're aware that, oh wait, you know what? Actually, I manifested this because I made this choice. You know what I'm saying? Okay, well, now that you understand that you made the choice, I mean, is you going to still make the same choices? Because, now that you're aware, it kind of would be a little dumb. It would be a little stupid if you have this information and this wisdom, but you're still choosing the same thing, expecting something different. You know what I mean? Like, here's your imbalance. Make the change if you want better. Like, I'm not here to hold, like, pet you, hold your hand, because neither is the universe, and neither are the ancestors. You know what I'm saying? Like, ancestors are like, come on, like, you need to get up and do your thing. Like, we get it. Yeah, there's some sadness that arises, but I mean, that's not important. You know what I mean? Like, you should be able to know and or understand this, because sitting in a certain aspect of self isn't doing anything for you. And we've all been in a place, I was just saying to you the other day, we've all been in a place where we felt depressed, but at some point you decided to, let me just pick myself up and
Oh
start to
yeah.
create some motion and just see what happens, and watch that
Yeah, I
depressingness
mean,
move away.
I
Like, we've
spoke
all been
about
there.
that. I spoke
Yeah.
about that. If any of you guys, listening, if you've listened to episode 4, the Goddess Glow Up vibes, I spoke about that. I spoke about, depression is real, and there's so many people that are experiencing it that, half for me, I didn't know that I was in a depression until I started to crawl my way out of it. So a lot of the times, that something is wrong, and that you're in this dark place, but basically it's like either you don't know, or you just don't want to admit it to yourself in that moment. So, and not until you're ready to make that change is when you start to realize, wait a minute, I was in a depression, I was on a sinking ship, I was in a dark hole. So um yeah, it's so many of us. That's why, the people that are close to me, the people that know me in person, they know, like, I'm always like, let's twirl, let's twirl, because I just feel like that's a great way to shift energy. And no matter what you're going through, you don't want that to take over your whole day. Obviously,
Yeah,
you have to allow yourself to go through those motions, and that's great. And I still do it too, but don't let that take up your whole day. Like I said in my other episode, I give myself till a certain time of day, like, okay, it's time to shake this off. I had my moment, but it's all good. It's going to be all right. It's not. And I just go back into that flow. Because why is because I feel like my best self when I'm in that flow. I feel like my best self when
exactly.
I'm twirling. And I mean, I feel lit up inside. And I don't care who doesn't like it. I'm not for everybody. So,
Exactly.
that's just that's what it is. So it's very important that we're taking care of self. And I'm so happy that Yogini, she's really touching on everything that I'm about right now, and everything that I want to share with you guys. This podcast is literally a healing podcast. It's here to help heal myself and heal others. And let's take this life journey together, and let's do the things that we're gonna, basically, let's do the things that is going to allow us to reach our fullest potential, and allow us to vibrate high. But we have to do that by being our authentic selves too. And it's okay, come as you are. Like I always say, there's no judgments here. Yogini, she's already stated that. She's not judgmental. Um, Come on through. Get your natal charts done. Have a foundation. Have a starting place. Like I said, if you're just starting your journey, that is a wonderful place to start. If you're already on your journey, that's a wonderful place for you to dig deeper and really realize if you're on path, like Yogini told me.
Yeah.
Even by having this show, that I was on path, which made me very, very, very happy to hear that, because Spirit guided me through this. Spirit guided me through it. Spirit guided me to it. And I'm following that flow, and I'm allowing it to just work through me. You
I
know.
mean, you always were. We always are. I try to show people like the things that we go like. I think it's because we're so busy living in the body. You know what I'm saying? Like we're so busy. Our minds, our spirits are so busy just living in the body, and that's why people are having such bad experiences saying like they don't want to be here. When you learn to shift 40 5D, it's completely different. But yeah, like we think that things are not going well because, there's all this destruction and Pluto's come and basically it feels like just sat on your whole life and it's just, it's just, it doesn't seem like it's right. I try to tell people like, everything is there. Like you've been manifesting yourself like this because that's what you decided to do before you even got here. Like I was on a live stream earlier and I said, well, hopefully on this call we can talk a little bit about um, you know the the uh, the who we were before we started this storyline. Basically, before we were birthed into this realm. Because somebody asked me, when did my journey start? And my response was, well, the story that I tell is my experience in high school, but I know my journey definitely started, or all of ours do, before when I decided, what, this is the vessel or the womb that I'm going to come through into this realm. These are going to be, these are the people who I've already kind of hung out with in other, lifetimes, other storylines, but these are going to be the ones that are going to be my parents. These are what their issues are in this realm, but that's okay because I know as much as it might restrict me in certain ways, I'll rise above it so that way I'll realign with this is just the best route to help me realign with what my soul purpose is. Once I've transcended the role of the fool and have basically landed the position of um, like the high I don't know. I want to say high priestess, but I might not. I don't know. But basically, you have to be the fool in order to get to that, magician, master of self. And the fool isn't, the fool, ha ha. It's, the fool because the fool decides to do what others think is foolish, which is follow spirit and disconnect and, you choose to do, make mistakes in order to gain wisdom and knowledge, and people see that as a fool. Um, but it's the fool who laughs, kind of in the end, right?
Exactly. And we can't be afraid, and I'm saying we because that goes for all of us.
Yeah,
I'm always including myself in everything that I'm saying because I'm still on my journey. The journey never
exactly.
ends. And I have to continue to uplift myself and encourage myself and make sure that I'm on path. And we have to make sure that we're speaking our truth. Even like the ugly truth, the stuff that we don't want anyone to see, and the things that we feel like we're the only ones that know about.
No, those are the
Those
ones we need
truths,
to share more.
yeah, those are the ones that we need to share. Which is part of the reason why I'm doing this podcast, and it's gonna go deeper. I'm gonna get deeper. Like I said, it's open, it's raw, and it's healing myself at the same time. It's inspiring others and it's helping others. So when you share your truth, um although it may make us feel uncomfortable, you have to understand you're healing through that and you're becoming a better person and you're helping someone else. So how amazing is that, to have that power, right? To just
Exactly.
like if let's really think about that. How amazing is it to have that power to heal yourself and to inspire and help others to live in your authenticity. um and literally, I always say this, I know, and whoever listens to, I know you probably say she's gonna say it, but your vibe will start to attract your tribe. Your vibe will start to attract these beautiful souls. And I'm pretty sure, if you're anything like me, you've been in a journey where you've had ups and downs with friendships, and
Oh yeah.
um and if you're Pisces moon out there, I'm sure you can relate. Right? Yogini would tell you about those Pisces moon individuals. But I'm sure you can relate, and you want to attract beautiful souls, and you want to be a beautiful soul. You want to be the light. Be the light. You are the light. Be the light. Be the person that you want others to be for you. And it's all good. Like, surround
You know
yourself
what though?
surround yourself with people that aren't going to judge you also.
I have to say this, like, the ones that have a hard time fitting in the crowd. A lot of times end up being the one that leads the crowd,
Oh, yes.
and that's
Yes.
that's exactly what you see in the chart as
Yes.
well. And so I'm not surprised that you and I both, just because we just said we both had experiences when it comes to, what we thought were tribes. But yeah, it's look where we are now. We're assuming the position to lead, and it's just, of course, it is surreal seeing how many friends you have. Like, it's crazy for me, especially. I consider you a friend. We talked a couple times, yeah, but even just from the start, this was a friend because this was a genuine energy, a genuine love that was presenting itself to me. And I was like, hey, wow, I had this friend. All the, like, this person was there. um but that's just, from myself experiencing the movie of my life,
And
is
thank
like,
you for
wow.
saying that. Thank you for saying that, and thank you for acknowledging that you saw that in me, because that means so much to me, because I am so genuine, and that. You've
Yeah.
taken a look in my chart, so you know that. But everything with me is always, off of love. Even before I was on this journey, it was always just caring for others and just being so compassionate and giving. And
Self-sacrifice.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't know, I would say that, like, Yogini, she even told me this, was just like, don't focus on that. Don't even worry about the people that the people that don't know how to be friends to you and don't know how to um how do we say, don't focus on any of that negativity because it
Yeah.
has nothing to do with you.
Their imbalance, exactly.
It has nothing to do with you. If
Exactly.
anything, you should then realize how special you really are when you do see
Yeah.
people act like that.
Yep.
So I didn't want to cut you off from your flow, but I just wanted to say I have gratitude for you for even saying that and acknowledging
Yeah.
that in me.
Of course, the whole thing of realizing how special you are, exactly. And I go through that daily. I just feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm too humble, but I feel like even after hearing it, it's like, wow. And then I kind of go back into myself. So I like that. I don't know. I like the reassurance because we're all just out here trying to do our best. And this is also another beauty of the universe, because the universe sends you exactly what you need when you need it. It's just like, I was saying lately, I've been going through a lot of uh, changes and transformations, not just internally, but externally, and of course, when you're going through a transformation, as much as there's a knowing that there's greatness on the other side, or the silver lining, there's still a little bit of fear of like, okay, what's happening, where are we going sometimes. And um, just I receive a message saying that you are just a really great person, for us to look up to right now. And I feel like I don't even post as much as I need to, or as much as I should. And the fact that, what I feel is a little bit that I share, but what little I share is still so super inspiring, even though I haven't been present for you guys. As much as I say I will be, I try to be, trust me, but sometimes there's just something else happening that I guess, well, I don't guess, I know has to happen, which is why I don't feel too bad about it. Um, but yeah, I'm just I completely lost my train of thought, which happens sometimes. So excuse me,
That's
but
fine. I actually have a that's fine because I actually have another question. Why do you feel
yeah, go
like
ahead.
because I remember seeing something where, people will say the people that you meet are either, reflections of a repeated cycle or even something that's guiding you to a new start.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what your perspective is on that?
Okay. Well, for one, it's the people that you meet that's the destination in life. It's not what's actually happening. Why is this a fact? Even just based off of the metaphysics of things, we know that this realm is an illusion. The only thing that's probably not an illusion are the actual souls that you connect with. So that's number one. The people are the destination in life, not where you go, the physical experience itself. That's number one. So if the people are the destination, that means that the people we meet are the ones that have the greatest transformation effects on us, right? Or the energy that people project. So that's number two. So that just shows the importance of people or souls that you have around you, and whatnot. Um, so okay, um, choosing. Okay, you said something about, or say your question one more time. One more time. Something
It was
specific you said that I
basically
want to say.
because I've been just knowing that, because there's sometimes when you meet people and everything can appear to be,
Right. Okay.
all good, and then it turns out to not be everything that you thought it was. So what I'm saying is that, there's a saying like the people that you meet are either reflections of a repeated cycle
Right. Okay.
or guides, or they're guiding you to a new start. So I guess like what is your perspective on that? I mean, you made a great
I feel
point.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I feel like with that, I think you're only ever moving forwards or backwards, I think. And um, there's two reasons why something might really resonate with you. It's because it's something that you recognize from a past, or and it's comfortable to you, or you just know that this is the next kind of uncovering that you need to go through, and so you're excited to move forward even though there's still a little bit of the fear of the unknown. So I feel like those are the two types of relationships that you meet. Regardless, at first it feels very nice, very very nice, because it's either I mean it's something that's causing a spark within you. You know, it's either it's something comfortable or something here for the future, or teaching you something, whatever. um, but that whole thing about it seems one way at first and then things show you, I think the only reason why you're seeing something after the fact is because at first everything's kind of based around imagination, it's based around fantasy. We don't really actually just take what is. We are so used to going into our minds and creating what it is that we want to see, essentially because everything that we do see or experience is all in the mind anyway. But I think that's what it is. Because even in the chart you can see if people who you might meet somebody, and because of the strong influence on maybe Neptune and love, or Neptune and emotions, there's just not a very clear understanding on what it is that you're actually experiencing, which means what you're experiencing might be an illusion or delusion, and that's why the disappointment comes after. um, but the people, in terms of like repeated cycles, like I said, it all depends on comfortability. Some people are very comfortable, or they like to find themselves in chaotic, very intense situations. Now, chaos and intensity might be very stimulating to a person, yes, but stimulation doesn't always have to be for a good thing. There's a lot of relationships where there's multiple highs and lows, highs and emotional lows, of feelings of happiness and then very deep sadness and anger, and people think that's okay because it's full of intensity, right? That right there, it shows you how a person, or the imbalances of a person, can pull you into the repeated cycles of these highs and lows that don't do anything but create imbalance within you and then throw you off your track. And now you've just been hit with a karmic lesson or a karmic experience, or now you're being forced to close or complete, hopefully, a chapter or a cycle. But I mean, if not, then it just continues and continues. These are the types of things that are revealed in a reading, not just from the chart, but even in the cards that I pull. I show you from more than just one aspect. But yeah, it's either that, or a person comes along and they can teach you how to see yourself. That's kind of what I do. I'm trying to show you another way of seeing self, because we spend a lot of time looking down at ourselves and bashing ourselves for feelings and for the things that we're experiencing, because we don't know how to view these things. It's just like even Pisces, you are very Pisces, so you are very mutable, which means a lot of what happens to you is really happening in your mind. And so this is where the um, the chaos kind of manifests within, when something might happen, but to you it's like really really big and super intense, and the feeling is super super deep, and so you get lost in really your own mind and emotions, rather than focusing and grounding to the reality of what's happening here, and then thinking about, okay, what are my options here, and what kind of solution can I create for myself, or what's the best one that I can create for myself, and let's action that, and not put so much emotional or mental energy towards that space. I think we just have to know who and what, and what to be around based off of energy. and people are not going to tell you, hey, I'm imbalanced and I definitely don't need to be with you or around you because I think like this. And so you're basically going to adopt that. And sometimes when I do get like this, you're going to have to deal with this and it's really going to make you feel small. But, you really shouldn't talk to, people are not going to come right out and tell you that, at all. So you have to be aligned so that way that, okay, this is my next step to take, or I really need to just swerve on this one right here. It looks cute, sounds cute, felt like I could have learned something, but it also comes with a lot of stuff that I've experienced in the past that I know I don't want to experience again. You can always tell there is nothing that you don't. There's nothing that you don't know. That I or anybody can tell you. You already know. You already see the preview. My mom always used to say, okay, you've seen the preview to this movie. Do you want to watch it or do you not want to watch the movie? If you want to go to the movie and allow yourself to experience all these emotional highs and lows of death and sadness and feelings, basically like a freaking soap opera, if that's what you want, I mean, you could have that experience, but you've seen the preview, so you can't be upset when you're like, nah, this is not what I like. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and then everything is a choice anyway. This is why it's important to be present in every moment, in each moment. That's what I learned in high school is the importance of mindfulness, because when you're present and you're present, you're active, and you're thinking about what are the choices that I can make now, and you're really thinking about the equation or the energetic calculation of your day or of life that you're creating, then you can say, okay, well, whatever's on the left side of the equal sign will then equal the right side, so I can see exactly what the right side is. So all I have to do is put together the left side of the equation. That's it. That's how practical people need to be thinking, so that way that they can create a better experience and choose better people to be around. And in all honesty, you are your tribe. Your tribe are your ancestors on the other side.
That's
Yes,
right.
you find tribes here.
That's
Yes, you
right.
find people here, but people only serve a certain purpose, like a small aspect of self. Even your larger relationships, they're just connections, but it's not like you're supposed to hop on board and just follow people everywhere they go. No, your life, your journey is still you, and you meet these people along the way, and they either help to build you or help to destroy you. It's whatever you choose, but you essentially always know what it is that you're choosing for the most part. Sometimes we don't know, and that's okay. We go through it to know, so that way you can get to know. But for the most part, yeah, I don't think I should be doing this, but I chose to do it
Yeah, you
anyway.
definitely
And
get that feeling. There goes
yeah,
that energy thing again. You feel it, and it's like sometimes you probably ignore it, you know what I mean? But you
exactly.
definitely feel it. You definitely feel something. And especially for me, I mean, I can walk into a room and feel energy. So I know that you can feel that with people. And even before, it gets to that, even if you find yourself coming into a negative state with a person or a circumstance, always try to find a way to shift your energy. Always try to twirl and just find some sort of appreciation or gratitude for even the situation that you're in, because although it may be something negative, you're still learning something from it. You're still going to come out to be a better person on the other side once you get through it. So just always focus on
Exactly.
that. Focus on that, because I mean, it's so beautiful when you can actually realize, like, wow, I'm thankful for that journey. I'm thankful for that trial and that tribulation, because now I'm so much more wiser. I'm so much more, um, you're so much more equipped, to deal with something if it comes up again that's similar to that, or, even bigger, than that. So just always look
Hmm.
at everything as a learning experience too.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why, well, for me, what helps that is knowing that really, I mean, there is no good or bad. It's just, excuse me, all levels of, it's just levels. It's either a low vibration or a high vibration, but nothing is good or bad. It's just like death or murder. I could think of a million reasons why murder or death can be wrong, but then I can also think of a million reasons why it could be right too. It just all depends on where you're standing and what angle the angle that you're kind of looking at. But knowing that nothing is right or wrong to me helps me understand that even the experiences that seem super super bad um, doesn't always have to be super super bad. It's just kind of what's happening here. And then remember what I said about living in kind of 5D, which is almost like living in the future. Or like, okay, have you ever had like deja vu? You feel like I've done this before, I've had this experience. All that is your souls had that experience because time doesn't exist. That we go off and we experience the past, present, and we experience the future. Present meaning present, but in other vessels, because our souls are sometimes are there are some situations where the soul is so big that it's not only just existing in only this vessel or your vessel, but there are other vessels that it exists in happening in parallel universes or in other realms. So it's a lot. It's a lot that happens. And so when you're experiencing, well, basically when the physical catches up with whatever it is you had already experienced and you're feeling like, wait, this happened already. It looked just like this. It feels kind of familiar. It's because it really is. So, knowing that, that means that you can easily, well, if you know that that's something that happens, even unconsciously, that you can easily tap into it and start to kind of project that consciously. But I kind of went off track there in terms of like spiritual growth. I guess it's because it's kind of what I'm working on. There's a lot of things that I do that happen um, when it's ready to happen, or when, I don't know, not on command, and I'm working on mastering myself where I can just do certain things on command. But that's just kind of where I'm at in life right now, spiritually, um, kind of coming off track.
No, I
But
mean, but you're
yeah,
bringing up a great point, and nothing is off track. This feel comfortable because I love when someone can come on the show and just really flow. This is what it's about. There's no judgment. I love when you can flow. It's okay to come off track, because it's just like it's the knowledge, it's the energy, that's allowing you to flow. And it's almost like you're speaking, you're not really thinking, you're just speaking. You're speaking from
yeah.
your heart, you're speaking from experience. So let that energy come out, and don't worry about staying on track. It's all good here. But you brought up a wonderful point, and I just wanted to say, this episode, the name of the episode is obviously, the power of realignment and astrology. Of course, we're touching on the natal chart side of it, but it's also about that power of realignment and self-empowerment. So, Yogini, what does self-empowerment mean to you, and how could other queens, goddesses, gods, kings out there, how what are some of the things that they can do to find, or to help them find their own power, their own self-empowerment, and help them align themselves, even if they have to realign? But what are some of the tips that you have to give our tribe out there?
Yeah, in terms of like self empowerment, which is exactly what I'm going through right now. I always talk about, and someone asked me like, how do you even know? But I just turned 26, which means I was 25 before. 2 plus 5 is 7. I was experiencing my 7 year because I was 25. Um, 7 is literally all about enlightenment, and the path to enlightenment is through fear. I definitely experienced a lot of just uncertainty, confusion, emotional confusion, just solitude, just a lot in my 7 year. And now that I've turned 26, 2 plus 6 is 8. I'm in my 8 year. 8 is all about building and self-empowerment, and yeah, it's just about personal power and just in wisdom and balance between the spiritual and the physical, and building and gaining that or multiplying on that. And I always say with knowledge comes power. So I feel like there's just a lot more that I'm going to come into knowing about myself, and just continue to experience. But self empowerment is exactly what I'm experiencing right now. So it's an interesting question. But for real, yes, it's definitely about undoing. It's the self undoing, so that way you can realign with spirit, and understanding the value of you, understanding who you really are, and how magical and like just surreal, and just so powerful, that you are as consciousness, as that black dot, as that everything, as the all, as conscious. Like it's just knowing that, number one, and then realizing what game it is that you're actually playing, what storyline you're actually existing in, the life that you're living, whatever metaphor, analogy you want to use for it, but just really understanding, okay, where am I standing physically in this realm, and then how does it align with the spirit or the self that I have just reconnected with. That's number one, or number two. And then three, it's okay, through shifting my internal self and understanding who I am, my value, and what my destined, or the experience that it is that I want to experience in future, or where I see myself, how can I create that and just move forward on that? I always talk about aligning the mental and emotional aspects of self, what you think and you believe, your intellect, even your belief system, your philosophies, aligning it with your desires, your emotions, your needs, and together that creates movement, that creates motion, and that's your action, your activity. Um, and the three, to me, that's a trine, that's a grand trine, it's a holy trine, that's manifestation instantly right there. It's just having all three of those aligned. And that right there is personal power. For me, I had to come to a realization that there was something I was experiencing that was really hard for me to experience. And it's because I was constantly trying to find a way in my mind that things can work. But like I just was experiencing so much internal friction, and I just knew, like, you know what, I know this is not for me. This doesn't celebrate me in any kind of a way. It's not aligned with my spirit. I have to move forward and align, my feelings, my thoughts, my mental, emotional body, and then apply the action behind it. Basically walk it like I talk it as well. It's just all about being aligned. And for me, a really strong driving force as well is the whole, just knowing what it is that my ancestors would like for me to create also for them. Which what I mean by that is whatever you link your energy to, you link your ancestors to. And you do have to listen to yourself, your spirit, or your ancestors that speaks with you, because they can see, of course, what you can't, in a lot of ways. And they also don't want to collect the karmic debts or experiences of the energies that we always, we think that we want to join with and whatnot. So to me, that's also a very strong part of empowerment, because I very much enjoy being one with self and my ancestors. And when I wasn't, or when I'm not, it's nothing but an uncomfortable situation. So having experienced that, I know that it's not something that I want to experience. And because everything is a choice, I know that I have full accountability on what it is that I do and what I experience. So, I mean, it's like I said before, I'm not going to, if there's something that I know that I need to do, or that I know I deserve, or that I know I'm supposed to experience, or I need to experience, I'm going to do that. You know, it's also like what I said before. I feel like personal empowerment or personal power is also about, understanding that yes, we connect with people, but they don't become our lives. We don't make them our lives, or we don't kind of shift into this position of codependency either. You know, personal empowerment is knowing how to basically even not self generate, what's the word, um, regenerate yourself just like the body does. You know, the physical is only a reflection of the spiritual. So, our body, when it gets sick, it knows exactly what to do. Raise the body temperature. It knows, stop with the food and let's go into fasting mode to get rid of whatever it is that's here, so we can, self rejuvenate. It's not the word that I want to use, but you get what I'm trying to say. I
Absolutely,
feel like that,
absolutely.
yeah, I feel like that is also part of it as well. I feel like it's also about goals. Goals don't always have to be like, okay, I want to be a millionaire. How can I be the millionaire? Goals are short term goals that we make in our days. Okay, this is my intention. This is what I would like to complete. I really need to put that pile of clothes. I really needed to clean my room. And I actually listened to myself. I cleaned my room, and it's crazy because last night my dreams were so clear, and I really received this message that said this. And it just, there you go. There was something very important that you needed to know, and the only reason why it happened is because you listened to yourself. You completed a goal that you knew needed to be completed, that was going to essentially release or open up a portal. Something, anything like that. But being empowered is just staying in tune in every moment, and knowing and actually executing what it is that you're supposed to, based off of what you're channeling. You know,
Yes.
that's to me what it is staying aligned, but it's being able to, it's self mastery as well. It's the work put in behind self mastery. Of course, none of us are going to be masters here. It's always going to be consistent, working at trying to make ourselves this, but at the same time, it's the effort put in that is the self empowerment. And people can pick up on it. People can see, this person is focused. People can see, okay, this person is not easily manipulated. Oh, we can see this person is very powerful because they're aligned in themselves. People can see all of that. And just like everything I've mentioned, I've worked very hard at presenting, so that way other people feel encouraged to walk in their truth as well. Because essentially, that's what the whole reconnecting with spirit is reconnecting with your truth. Because we do a lot of compromising and self-sacrificing in our days. We think just because we meet somebody, we start to compromise our original dreams for what they give to us. And sure, it might seem all great and nice, but that doesn't mean that that's part of your path. And so it's not going to be as great and nice as you think it is. There you go. There's another way that a relationship, if a relationship is kind of karmic or not. Something might seem great based off of the image or the vision being given to you, but if it's not great in the physical, then it's not for you.
Right. And like you said, listening is so important. Listening to our inner
Yeah,
voice is so important,
right.
and bringing us back to those spiritual baths, and
Yeah,
self-care, self-love, so that we can release the energy that we don't need, and we can really just communicate, better with ourselves, and understand exactly what we need, to reach our highest potential. And I remember seeing a quote before, it was just like, the essence of life is to communicate love. And we always have to remember, self-love is always first. Taking care of ourselves is first.
hmm,
All of these things are going to help you come into that self-empowerment, and being strong in your alignment and your realignment, and just also manifesting your reality. um, take care of yourself. Focus on getting that deep healing. That's definitely, for me, that's the most important, because that was the journey I had to take for myself first, was to
Mm-hmm.
literally heal myself and want to dig deep. And I'm still on that journey, but that's when I realized that I am also a healer too, even through
Right.
that. So um and just becoming the best version of yourself.
Exactly.
That's what makes me so excited, is when I can feel free and knowing that I am striving to be the best version of me, of Lily Flower, as you would know me as, and have compassion for yourself, and just be patient. It's not going to happen overnight, as with anything. Be patient, with yourself, and respect your journey, and don't try to compare your journey to someone else's journey.
Yeah. See,
That's
that's what
another.
this full moon is all about too. The sun is in Virgo and the moon is in Pisces. The Virgo is always focused on what's happening in the physical, how can it be perfect, but Pisces just wants to chill and love and just relax and be in tune spiritually, and just see the bigger picture, see beyond, be all 5D. And then Virgo kind of wants to focus on the details of things, worry about the things that gotta get done, and it's really the balance of the physical world, where we need to show up in the world, and then who we really are as well. Balance of the physical and the spiritual. But yeah, I feel like that's a really good reflection as to what's kind of happening here and now. If we just looking at the transits of things, the only so far the major transits that I follow is really just the sun and the moon, and maybe Pluto as well. But of course, Pluto doesn't move through each sign as fast as the sun and the moon does. But yeah, that's based what you just said. This is what this time right now is kind of based around. If anyone wants to even use the moon energy as you know just how can I say, a good use this energy to help balance those aspects. If you're having trouble with where you need to show up in the world, and then your true self, of course, it can be challenging because both want to do two very different things. But finding the balance, that's where the magic is, and I'm always looking for the magic.
Right. Definitely. Always looking for that sparkle,
Right,
that energy that's gonna make you want to twirl. I had to throw that in there. I
right,
had to throw that
exactly.
in there. I'm sorry. I had to throw that in there. But yeah, and like she said, all of this, it's always gonna fall back on you. And the reason why I asked that question, I know that so many of us struggle with that. How do I feel self-empowered, and how do I align myself on my journey, and what are the things that I have to do? But she brought up an amazing point. It's always gonna, bring it back to yourself and how you're treating yourself, because how you treat
Hmm.
yourself is always gonna reflect on how you're treating others also, and how
Allowing
others
others to
perceive you.
treat you.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. So just pay attention to those things that of course make you feel happy, and make you feel grounded and centered, and at peace, because that is what's going to help you, through the rough patches, through those rough times, and through this journey, because the journey. So, and I just want to make it clear, the journey is not just going to be a straight road. It's obviously going to be these hills and bumps, and ups and downs, of course, with anything. So we have to just make sure we do stay grounded and centered in those things that make us happy, because when those negative energies come at us, we don't stumble, right? And even if we do
Exactly.
stumble, we can, it's kind of like when you're driving a car, you know what I mean? And you see someone coming over in your lane, and you kind of swerve, a little bit,
Right.
you're able to come right back, like, okay. you want to have that strength to still pick yourself back up and not just, be knocked down flat on your face. So,
Exactly. And like also, I mean, it's really sometimes you have to ground to even the foundation of things or the reality of things. Like, um, okay, so we fall, but that is not the end. You have not just you didn't just fall into a bottomless pit of darkness. You fell, but how many times have you fallen in the past? Let's think about all the different ways that you've fallen. You fell when you took your first step. You probably fell when you started your first job, or there's so many different ways that you fell and you got back up. So what makes falling this time any different from the last? If anything, you should spring right back up, because you're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Been there, mastered my get up, got
right,
mastered how I'm gonna just slide right back on up.
right,
Like, because
right.
I mean, this is life. It happens, but I know that. I mean, it don't mean shit. Like, excuse my French, but I mean, it don't mean nothing. If there was, I just needed to remember that there was a bar right there. So next time, I'm a duck. Like, like that's it. That's really it. And this is why I say this is how I look at this game or this story. Like, sometimes we do take what's happening in this realm a little too seriously, because if you believed in reincarnation, then you would understand that there was a life before and there is a life again, and there will be a quadrillion infinite amount of lives, and this is just one of many. It doesn't need to take this one doesn't have to be taken that serious, because I mean, the true story is the story of spirit or of your consciousness anyway, which is an infinity old story that never stops. Never stops and keeps adding on. So I mean, what's happening here is nothing. 100 years is nothing compared to the soul. Like, 100 years is nothing, and I'm saying 100 like we all live to 100, and most of us don't, as if you're lucky, but I think that's what it is, and it's about balance between the two currents of energy, the current of liberation and manifestation, which to me is exactly the representation between Virgo and Pisces. Is the liberation and manifestation. It's the going up to air and then down to earth. You need to exist exactly right in the middle of that. If you're too grounded, you're stagnant and you're depressed. If you're too kind of up top, now you're panicking. There's too much confusion, too much energy scrolling around. Like, we just need to hover around the middle. This is why I always look
Yeah.
at polarities. What a major one, this last year was the polarity of difference and identity. I was having experiences with people that were very different from me, but it definitely taught me a lot about my identity. And then I learned a lot about my identity, which showed me a lot about why I'm very different from others. It just goes hand in hand. I always look at the two sides of each coin, because there a little of both should exist in the soup that I'm creating. Basically, I always say that, like, a little bit of both should kind of be there, and that's exactly where the magic again is.
Right. I mean, it's with anything, right? So when we're
Yeah.
when we're eating food, you don't really enjoy something that's too hot, right? Or like too
Exactly.
cold.
Cold, right?
So, I mean, it's the same with the most simplest things, So it has to
Yeah.
be the same with you, and you have to be in control of your emotions also, and so, Yogini, I know, like, you're the expert when it comes to yoga and deep breathing. And can you talk to us about, how important deep breathing is, and just being aware of your breaths, and how you can create, that sacred space for yourself when you are, doing your practices and things like that. And also some of the upcoming, programs that you're going to have and offer to people, that maybe don't know too much about it and just need someone to help guide them. They need an advisor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, around breathing and yoga. People get scared of yoga because they think like, oh, I'm too this, I can't do it, I'm not flexible enough. It's not about that. It's just about movement and breathing. That is it. The basic, the movement aspect of it. Um, Deep breathing is super important. It's nerve work. It stimulates so many different. It stimulates your entire being. As I said earlier when I talked about the importance of stillness in your cycles, a full breath, inhale and exhale is a full cycle. And the point where you inhale just before you exhale, that's the stillness that you kind of connect with and you pull from. That stillness is unmanifested potential. The importance of that is it has a very big effect on your state of consciousness, or where you're at in your mind, and as well as spiritually. They say that we haven't been taught how to breathe at all from the moment we entered this realm. There's so much going on. We're in this hospital room. There's people we don't know. We're crying. Our breathing is very shallow. Which makes us kind of exist in our lower selves. It makes us really also like exist in this physical realm. I don't know if you really understand what I'm trying to say, but we start to look at this as everything. This is what it is. There isn't something beyond it, meaning the soul or the spiritual aspect. When you're breathing deep, oh my gosh, it can help, like, because you're pulling from the all, you could jump to different states, meaning like just based off of your breath, your meditations will be, you'll benefit more from your meditation. You'll either release or whatever, wherever you're taking yourself within your mind, whatever place you're taking to yourself in your mind, it just becomes that much easier. Your experience your spiritual experiences are just, I couldn't even tell you, because a spiritual experience, you have to experience it in order to know. Like, I can't really tell you what that's like. It's kind of hard, but yeah, it shifts your perspective. And so it's just like whenever someone's mad and they're existing in a very low aspect of self, and they're thinking all these thoughts, and they're breathing shallow. Always very shallow. And their breathing is very hard. And if they were to just take a second and breathe deep a few times, everything changes. Even what was making them mad, they don't even see it the same way anymore. It's just a whole different experience just by closing your eyes and doing that nerve work and just shifting, your shifting your state of consciousness. This is why, like, when people like Kanye, and whenever someone says something like, slavery or certain things that we experience is a choice, I do believe that, because I believe what we experience externally all starts with what we experience internally. And if we're not doing the things or being aligned, even with the intake of oxygen, and prana, which is the life force, which is a different from oxygen, but focusing on the intake of oxygen is just a really good place to start, because it stimulates the brain. It's really just the stimulation, that it has on you in all levels of self. But yeah, it's just, if you shift yourself from a point that you're accepting yourself, um, how can I say, like, where you have yourself, where you're accepting yourself to be that isn't supposed to be, and then you go and you're doing your exercises and you're seeing, the depth of you and the power behind you because you're experiencing it. That right there shifts how you interact in your environment. It's really just everything that we've been talking about when it comes to manifestation. It's just that we didn't know how to do this. We've been taught how to just get on our hands and knees and pray to an outside entity. I feel like through our breathing exercises, this is where we kind of take back our power. This is why it's not always about coming together. in order to evolve, it's really about going within in order for us to evolve as a people. If each one of us went inside and then started to project our energy out differently, that's when everything would change, rather than taking all the stale energy and bringing it all together and hoping it all sparks something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people are also afraid of deep breathing because of how it makes them feel, especially if that's
See,
not something that you've experienced. You may
experience.
feel lightheaded,
Right,
it's
right,
so
and
many different reactions, that you can
exactly.
have. Yeah.
Exactly, people get scared of that. But when I start to tell my stories, like when I'm even doing my yoga, I have to be careful sometimes, because I then like align with myself to a point where my consciousness now wants to leave and go have another experience, or I'm trying to pull in an energy that, like, I know I can kind of do, but my body can't essentially sustain that level of electricity in that moment. So I completely kind of tap out. But I'm not afraid of it, because I actually had a dream about this. I had a dream that exactly what was I'm experiencing physically was all part of my upgrading, was all part of upgrading in order to use some of the gifts that I do have, that I'm trying to activate. And so through my yoga, where I am, kind of trying to tap out, or I'm jumping out of my body, through my yoga, all it is I'm doing the nerve work that helps me to connect. And that's why I feel like I get so excited, because I'm almost there. But it's something that I have to be consistent with. Anything, any spiritual gains isn't just instant.
Right.
Sorry, isn't just
Exactly.
isn't instant. It takes consistency, and with that consistency comes the confidence. um and then with that confidence, that's it comes the belief too. The belief that you've now created, and it's that belief that makes everything real, or anything real, or anything not real. It all depends on you, because it's the mind. It's whatever the mind decides that it's going to um it's going to do, or choose, or whatnot. But um you asked me about what I have to offer. So okay, so people who might be afraid of how they're feeling, this is why it's so great. Because for me, I've always been told that my voice is so calming, so soothing. So I realized that, sorry, when I speak to people about certain things that might be a little uncomfortable, I create a comfortable realm or platform to talk about these things, or to take you through these experiences. So I actually really enjoy doing like one-on-one meditations, or yoga sessions, because everything about me is, like you said, compassionate, and is trying to reach out and help you to understand that these feelings are very good. Because if you just allow yourself to experience it, then you'll see what's waiting for you on the other side. And it's that feeling of light, which is essentially what the DNA is consistently trying to decode itself and bring itself back to, which is light. So, um, yeah, it's not anything to be afraid of. But I can understand the hesitant and being, apprehensive. I can understand that 100%. So my intention is to expand on my spiritual sessions, and, maybe create a one-on-one, not maybe, this is exactly what I'm working on, creating like a one-on-one program where I spend time with you. I spend maybe a certain amount of weeks. We go through, of course, we go through your chart in depth. We go through many aspects of life. We go through, how to balance each aspect, and then how to put it all together, how to get you to a point where you can self cleanse using yoga and meditation, bring you to a point where we can work together in creating certain ritual regimens, um, or just different things that help you, um, getting you to be comfortable even with things like chanting, or comfortable with writing, because a lot of us don't write, and writing is so very important when it comes to manifestation, and not just manifestation, but being able to physically look at something that might exist in our minds, that we have a hard time wrapping our minds around. Just putting it on paper makes it easier to work through. Just little things like that, but a lot of people are uncomfortable even thinking about certain things, so they shy away from those spaces in their mind. But the things that we shy away from are exactly the things that we need to face. So I do help you do that in a reading. As much as we do get through a lot in 2 hours, if you've ever been in a reading with me, you understand that them 2 hours go by almost too fast.
It really
And
does.
yeah, they go by almost too fast, and it's like there's so much more that we could touch on. Um, and so I'm creating that program where those of you who might feel they need more time, and want to go more in depth, where I am, where I do kind of have access to you, whether we are in person, where you come to me, or I come to you, or we do this kind of online. That's how I kind of want to show up. The thing about me is I understand that there are a lot of um, how can I say, empty seaters. There's a lot of um, dead kind of dead people walking, so to speak. I mean, we see it every day.
A lot,
And my
a lot.
energy, yeah, I mean, my energy, yes, I might also be running a business, but I'm also not here for just every and anybody to come to me for whatever. I mean, if you feel your spirit is, it needs to be guided to me for whatever reason, I'm here for you. But I'm not also just here for any and everyone to just come and have use my energy, because it's a lot of energy that I do put into what I do, you know. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm working towards, because I see myself putting together the astrology, the numerology, the reading aspect, along with the philosophy, because I feel like there's a lot of I don't know. I low key see myself as a little philosopher on the come up, But there's a lot of concepts and perspective that I would like to share specific to you, and just to help set you up on your own pedestal. Not mine, not following me, what I'm doing specifically for you. So that way, you are now sitting in your God/goddess status, and you have control of you. Now, that doesn't mean that things won't still come up in life that cause confusion, but you also understand that confusion is needed, and that chaos is a blessing. And so let me ride this bull, you know what I'm saying, until I make it to the finish line. And that's what I'm going to do. And you know that you have the confidence behind it, because you know how to make your decisions based off your awareness, based off, being able to sustain, your balance. Or even if you are having an imbalance, you can also say, you know what, but I felt like I needed to experience this. Like, you basically have made it, or have become one with your higher perspective. I'm just helping to bring you there, and that can happen in 2 hours, sometimes three, depending on how long the reading goes. It can, but some of us sometimes do need a little more time, you know.
Yeah,
So
and
that's kind of what I have.
she's here, and I just want to, reiterate, she is not here for anyone that wants to ask any silly questions that you can possibly go on Google to look up, and or
Yeah.
YouTube, and or possibly experience it on your own and things like that. Let's stay on task and understand that she is bringing way too much knowledge and has way um too many gifts and talents, that she is here to provide to the people that are serious, and ready to go deep and ready to, embark on that journey. So let's just also, just because, she's saying reach out and things like that, like she said, let's make sure we're reaching out for the right reasons and because we're serious, about, going deep.
Right.
And it's
Change.
not for her benefit, obviously she's here to help, but it's for your benefit, so just remember that she's here as a guide, she's here as an advisor, she is what you need to help you on your journey. If you have the pleasure of, getting a natal chart reading done and just even having a dialogue with her, trust me, you will feel so much better after that experience, with her. She has that effect. I don't know if you probably can tell already, but she has that effect. She's made, that effect on me. So I'm only speaking from my own experience. And, just to, kind of go over everything that we spoke about, we want to focus on, we don't want to worry, we want to try to focus on the now and trust that all is well. Be excited for the new experience that are to come. Be excited for everything that you're going to embark on, whether negative or positive. Remember, listening is so important. Listen to your inner voice. And that, trust that I'm telling you this because it's something that I actually didn't do before. I don't know if I was actively ignoring my inner voice, but I definitely was doing the opposite of what I knew, like that intuition, that we have. So yeah, but I know how much I need to do that. We all need to do that every day. It's not an option. Let's follow the beat of our own drums. Follow the
Yeah.
voice of our heart. Follow the voice of your own heart and just know that once you do that, you'll have everything that you need. Let's
Yeah.
also remember that we spoke about self-love, self-care. That's so real. That's so important. Once you do those things, everything else will flow. And I can't believe that, we already are at episode 5. It's just amazing, even this journey for myself, to say that I'm already at episode 5, and there's so many more to come. And, you know, trust and believe, Yogini Maat has a lot to offer. So this is not going to be our last episode. There's so many more amazing things to come.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just so proud of you. I mean, 5 is a great number. 5 is change. 5 is expansion. It's adventure. So, I mean, you're not doing anything but continuing to solidify, your dream and your purpose. Because our dreams are directly linked with our purpose. Don't. This is why you follow your dreams, whatever that is. It doesn't matter how unconventional it might seem or sound to you, but it holds its purpose. Nobody in this world has to understand but you. And then you did say something that I wanted to touch on. You said something about like going through transitions and whatnot. Like, the thing is we have to kind of, what helped me was studying Pluto. Pluto is all about death and rebirth, transformation, and how important and beautiful Pluto is, as much as Pluto can be a power struggle and really a pain in the ass. Um, that's what helped me. It's understanding death, understanding what it is, not just death of being shot and died, but death in all things. Death is the rebirth, death is change, death is everything, and how important it is and how much it exists in our lives. Once you start to accept that for what it is, that's when things shift a lot also. Even we also understand that nothing good lasts forever, only because everything is always changing. Now that doesn't mean that good things don't come again in other forms, yes, but you have to understand that change is always happening, and sometimes change happens to drive you away, to repel energy. There's an attraction of energy, and then there's the repelling of energy, and that right there is also a polarity or a balance on two sides of the same coin, however you want to look at it. It goes both ways. So sometimes the repelling is just as important or natural as the attraction. And that goes with anything, a job, whatever, a person, a thing. It doesn't matter what it is, but sometimes you need to repel from certain things, and that is all part of your blessing. You also said something about beating to your moving to the beat of your own drum. That is the magic of you specifically. Even when I talk about chants, like chanting from your own original language, which your ego is like your personality, your physical self. Um, your conscious mind may not completely understand, and it might be a little uncomfortable from that aspect of yourself. But when you're basically walking to the drum of your spirit, or you're chanting the vibrations or the sounds, maybe not words, but the sounds of your spirit, that's also when the magic is happening, because we understand the metaphysics behind sound as well. And if you don't, I encourage you to look it up. But yeah, I mean, it gets real deep, but once you understand the depth of life, which is kind of what I understood by looking at Pluto, which is the death and rebirth aspects of life that happen. That's how you begin to like as I said just a second ago. That's also part of the whole shift in consciousness, shift in perspective, definitely a higher state. And then you just use all those things that you've collected, all these wisdoms, and you actually apply it. Application.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for kind of just like reiterating, and going even deeper into what I said. This is exactly why we need you on this show, because you just go so deep and you know how to connect with your audience. Like, I literally get lost in what you're saying so many times. I'm just like, I could just listen to you talk, that for hours, and you teach me so much. And like I said, I'm so humbled, also, even in this moment. And the Pisces in me is so emotional right now. And like I said, I can't believe, that we're already at episode 5, and it's so special to me because I do have you on this episode. So it's really amazing, and I can't wait for um everything else that we have planned, that will be coming for the future as well. So
Yeah.
definitely, connect with Yogini. Actually, let's go ahead and have you just share your social media platforms, and where everyone can connect with you that aren't already following you, and how we can get that ball rolling for those natal charts and stuff like that.
Okay, so as it stands, just because the brand is still creating itself, but there is no rush, one thing at a time. Um, as it stands, if you are looking for a reading, you can contact me through email, which is yoginimaat@gmail.com, YOGINIMAAT@gmail.com. Or if you currently follow me on a platform, um, you can message me either through Instagram, which is the most like this kind of the where everyone messages me through Instagram. Just DM me. I really actually prefer it to be this way because it makes the connection more personal. Just hit me up and we can discuss, what you're looking for and how we can kind of get that done, and maybe even what you're experiencing and why it is that you're looking for this, or where you heard from me, anything. But we can just start the connection going, spark a connection. Um, or my Instagram is Yogini Maat, YOGINI Maat, or you can hit me up on Facebook. I'm not too active on Facebook, but I do check my messages every now and then. Um, or you can hit me up on Twitter. All three is Yogini Maat. And then my YouTube, which you can find me on, is again Yogini Maat. Whatever platform you're on, just search me and you'll see if I'm there. And really, just send me a message. I'm open. As soon as I have certain ducks in a row, certain things aligned, I will have a site open for you. Where you'll basically get everything Yogini, everything that I have upcoming, anything I'm working on, anything I have to share you, whatever, I feel inclined or whatever I'm channeling for you, it will all be there. It's currently in the making, so it's not there now, but any kind of interaction, if you're looking for even promo or um, collaboration, or readings, or um, a yoga workshops, anything, just most basic is going to be my email, which is yoginima@gmail.com.
And please, like I said, make sure it's serious inquiries only. Just
Yeah.
keep in mind that there's so many other people that are needing her help and wanting her help as well. So we want to make sure that we're not having her spend her energy and waste her time, trying to be there, because, and I'm just saying this because there's so many people out there that don't understand how important it is, the job of a healer, and the job that Yogini does have. And so when we are hitting her up, we want to make sure it's for the right reasons, and definitely do it. I can't explain to you how much how important it is for you to get your natal chart done. It's something that you have to experience on your own. No matter what I say to you, it will still never be enough, for you to know exactly what I mean by
Yeah.
getting it done. And
And for your
really,
children,
really
your
just
children as well.
open yourself to um you know ha- face your inner truths and just dig deep into yourself, and it'll help you to understand yourself more. I understand myself so much more just from that interaction. So it's and make sure that you have enough time. Make sure that you have the time to really sit with her, because you don't want her to rush through it. You want
Yeah,
her
don't
to
rush.
feel like she has the time to really go deep with you and connect with you. And I'm telling you, it'll be the best 2 3 4 hours of your life when it comes
Yeah,
to getting a natal chart done. You're gonna leave so much better than you came.
definitely.
It really is a transformation with that.
And like I wanted to say, and for your children, in the beginning I didn't really get to finish, all that comes in a reading. It's a lot, but the the one of the strong points as well is, the basically the effects that your parents, both mother and father, have on you or have had on you. So with that being said, you as a parent, I would strongly suggest for you to get, your children's reading done for you yourself, so you understand
Yes,
what
yes,
energy it is that you're working with, and even how you may potentially impact your child, based off of how you project your energy and what imbalances you have within you, and how that affects them, even in their adult lives, because you as an adult, right now, can think of many childhood experiences that might have created a lot of blocks within you now, and why you have trouble doing or accepting or understanding certain things in life now because of these things, and not only that, but the whole, spiritual aspect around, bringing a soul into this realm. I mean, not the whole thing, but most of it we're just not connected with. We used to connect, with the spirit and of the child through the mother, through hypnosis, and literally allowing the spirit of the child to speak through the mother, to give information, to let you know the purpose of the soul that is now coming into this realm, and so that way, the family can help guide this child, on their path, so that way, this child's not starting their spiritual journey at 35 or 45 when they're having a midlife crisis. We're starting them off right on their path, and understanding that, that spirit comes with its own. It's just a completely different understanding, as a parent, and what position we hold as spirit guides, not just as parents, do as I say, but I'm here to simply guide you, although you come with your own set of not just rules, but I mean, your own set of direction as well. We think parents seem to think, kids are stupid and they don't know nothing, but they know more than you know because they're the ones that teach
You
you more than.
learn stuff from them.
Yeah, you learn
Actually,
a hell of a lot.
totally,
Becoming a
it's
parent
total
is.
opposite.
Exactly. So, I mean, looking into their chart is good because now you start to think about generation. You think about the next generation and how you are raising them and what it is that you need to do to lighten up the Saturn or to, prepare them for the Pluto. That like none of that, we don't do any of that now. We just kind of inflict more pain and then it leaves children um here we are, we're the 90s 80s babies. Here we are just left with all this kind of healing to do, so that way we're not passing this healing on to our children. This is why even Erica Badu says, the 90s babies are the magician. They're the magical ones. They come here with real. I mean, we all do. Everyone comes here with a purpose, but she says they come here with real purpose in terms of how this society shifts, because we are the ones that are saying no, religion ain't working, and or we're the ones that are saying like, no, you wasn't supposed to be beating my ass with this the wrench. Like that wasn't supposed to be. That's wrong. And so I'm making the choice to work that out of me and not pass that on. We're the ones that are going through all this spiritual healing right now. And I'm not saying that people wasn't doing it before, but I feel like it's on a much greater
It
scale,
definitely
in terms
is.
of
It
mass. Yeah.
definitely is. Yes, it definitely is. It's so
Yeah.
different now. There's so many. I mean, this is the time of awakening. This is the time of
Exactly.
healing. This is the time of spirituality on a totally different level. And it's just an amazing time to, what a time to be alive.
Exactly. No, I can agree with that.
It's an
What
amazing
a
time. It's an amazing time. And I'm so thankful that we have healers like you. We have amazing healers out there, and we have amazing people that um, are operating through their heart chakras, and that are here for love and here for, sisterhood and brotherhood. Because at the end of the day, although we are working on ourselves, that is the energy that we need to focus on as well, community and helping each
right.
other, on the life journey as well. So, although we are selfish in the ways that we're taking care of ourselves and loving ourselves, but it is to only be better, for the world and better
Yeah,
for
the
those
word
around us.
selfish, we
Yeah,
need to change that. We think selfish is such a bad thing, and you know what? It's not. And any goddess would tell you that. Anybody who's sitting at that, that level within themselves that we aspire to be, they will tell you that. Selfishness is not. It's actually your ally um, in this. You have to be if you're going to be empowered. Power comes with some selfishness. Anybody in power, we like to look at them like, what's wrong with this person? Like they're either tripping or they're selfish or whatever. But it's because they have a knowing, and they know what they're manifesting, and you can't blame them for wanting to stay on their path. That's it.
that's right. That's right. That's 100% fact. And, I just have to say, I have so much gratitude, for those of you that have made it this far and
Mm-hmm.
listening to episode 5, The Power of
Yeah.
Realignment and Astrology, and this intimate dialogue with Yogini Ma'at. Thank you so much for listening in. Yogini, man, I
Yes.
love you, sis.
I love you too.
I love you, sis. This is just like you said. I believe you said it before. It's a paradigm shift,
Yes.
that's happening. So I'm definitely in a huge place of gratitude right now. And you know how I get when I'm in that space. It's like I get so speechless because there's so many things running through my mind and I can't catch on to exactly what I want to say. But
It's a
Um,
feeling. It's a
it's
vibe. It's a vibe.
it definitely is. It definitely is. And I feel like our signature is like 2 hours. 2 hours and 30 minutes on the
Yeah.
phone, and we
Yeah. Wow.
definitely approached that mark for our show, and I'm so thankful. I can't wait for what's to come, even for our next episodes and just all the things that I know we'll be
Yes.
doing together and what we have to offer to the world. So don't forget to connect with Yogini and follow her on her social media platforms. I would say Instagram would be the best one. Between Instagram and YouTube, those would be the best ones to connect with her
Yeah.
on. And yeah, hit her up for the natal chart. And like I said, that's and also I'd like for you to come back and let us know how your experience was, because that feedback that you have, the reviews that you give for her service will help someone else as well. So definitely, don't hesitate to give that feedback on exactly what happened, during the natal chart process.
Yeah. I hear you, baby, back there.
Oh no, no, I am not happy right now. I am not happy right now, honey. At
No, it's all
all,
right.
at all. But yeah, and don't forget, to follow LILILAND Radio on Instagram.
Yes.
We're also on Facebook and Twitter as well, but again, Instagram is the main platform. And come vibe with the tribe. Come vibe with the Flower Goddess tribe. So, by the way, Yogini, have you figured out what your favorite flower is yet?
I have not, but you know what? I'm gonna say yellow roses, just because. I mean, I don't know. Like yellow's not my favorite color, but I have a real connection with yellow, and yellow roses are the only flowers that anyone has ever bought me. And it's just the fact that they had put intent behind it, and I just thought it was so beautiful and bright, and it kind of represents, just how I felt seeing it and the aura, of the bouquet. It just was beautiful. I'm gonna just have to say it's the yellow roses for sure,
Oh, that's beautiful.
especially for
That's
you.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And I think that that's so fitting.
Yeah,
That's so
I think
fitting
so
to
too.
you. That's so fitting. So, um, what are we gonna do? Yogini Ma'at, aka Yellow Rose, part of the Flower Goddess
Okay, I
tribe,
don't mind that. The
honey.
yellow rose.
All right, but so I just want to let you guys know, like I said, thank you. Oh wow. My dog wanted to say thank you as well. Um, yeah, it's about that time.
Yeah.
I do have a Yorkie, and he's part of the podcast too, guys. So yeah, he just wanted to say hello. But Yogini, once again, thank you so much,
Thank
and
you.
you guys just remember to keep your fire lit,
Yes.
within. So thank you once again for your time, and it's Lily Flower on Lilyland Radio.